Every woman builds her world on rules. Rules about who she dates, what she allows, how close a man can get. They make her feel safe, like she's in control of her emotions, her image, her future. But here's what Machiavelli would whisper if he stood beside you. Rules don't protect desire. They amplify it. Because desire begins the moment logic breaks. When she meets a man who doesn't fight her walls but reflects them, who doesn't chase but stirs emotion, something inside her starts to bend. Not because he asked for it, but because her own mind turns against its rules. She starts justifying what she once swore she'd never do. She starts wanting what she once avoided. And by the time she realizes it, it's too late. The game has already shifted in your favor. This is not about tricks or fake confidence. It's about understanding how influence really works, how emotion quietly rewrites the laws that reason built. If you're truly ready to change your life, write in the comments, "I'm ready to change." Because once you make that decision, everything shifts. Here's the first secret to know and take advantage of. Women don't resist because they hate you. They resist because they feel something they can't control. When a woman says, "I'm not that kind of girl," or "I don't move fast," most men back off, thinking she's setting limits. But Machiavelli would see something else, a mirror being tested. Her resistance isn't rejection. It's a reflection of how much control she still believes she has. You don't break her walls by pushing harder. You break them by holding your ground calmly while letting her resistance grow heavy on its own. Because when emotion meets stillness, emotion always loses. Imagine this. You're out with her and she starts teasing you, saying she's too hard to get, that you'll never figure her out. Most men would try to prove her wrong. You don't. You just smile and say, "Good. I like a challenge." Then you move on as if her words meant nothing. That moment changes the energy completely. You didn't play into her frame. You let her feel the silence of her own defiance. And that silence forces her to question herself. Why didn't he react? Why doesn't he care? The resistance that was meant to keep you out suddenly turns into curiosity pulling you in. In another situation, maybe she tries to test your boundaries, cancels plans last minute, or flirts with others to see if you'll chase. The weak man reacts with frustration or jealousy. The Machiavellian man observes it, stays calm, and lets her pattern expose itself. Then, when he withdraws his attention slightly, her ego begins to panic. The test reverses. Now she's the one trying to prove herself again. Here's the deeper truth. Defiance is just desire wearing armor. When she feels safe to fight, it means she still feels something to protect. Your job isn't to fight her. It's to let the armor crack itself open through the pressure of her own emotion. Machiavelli would say, "He who provokes fear controls obedience, but he who provokes reflection controls hearts." By making her reflect on her own defiance, you become the mirror she can't look away from. So remember this. When she resists, don't rush to win. Stay calm, stay steady, stay slightly unpredictable. Because the moment her resistance feels useless, her desire finally takes over. And that's when her rules start to bend. Not because you broke them, but because she did. Here's the second secret to know and take advantage of. Women are addicted to emotional rhythm, not stability. They say they want peace, but peace without tension feels empty. They crave the dance between safety and uncertainty, between what they can predict and what they can't. Machiavelli would whisper, "The ruler who controls chaos controls the people." In relationships, it's no different. The man who controls the emotional rhythm, when to comfort and when to disrupt, becomes unforgettable. Picture this. You're with her. The energy is calm, maybe too calm. You listen, you connect, you make her laugh, but something in her eyes starts to fade. She's comfortable, yes, but uninspired. And then you shift the air. You slow your speech. You lock eyes longer than usual. You say something that cuts through the surface, something that shakes her just enough to make her heartbeat pick up. You don't need to be cruel or mysterious. You just introduce a spark of uncertainty. It could be as subtle as saying, "You think you know me already?" That's cute. And then going quiet. That pause, that silence, makes her imagination spiral. Because mystery creates motion, and motion creates attraction. In another setting, maybe she tries to create chaos herself. A sudden cold text, a mood shift, a distance out of nowhere. Most men panic. They chase, explain, reassure. But the Machiavellian man smiles at the storm. He lets her chaos burn itself out. He doesn't try to fix her emotions. He makes her feel safe inside them by not losing control himself. She feels his calm, his dominance, and it grounds her. It's like standing in a hurricane and realizing one man's stillness is stronger than the wind itself. That's when desire deepens. Not just attraction, but dependence. And here's where most men fail. They confuse calmness with passivity. But real calmness isn't empty. It's charged. It's the silence before thunder. When she senses that your peace is chosen, not accidental, it shakes her deeper than any grand gesture could. She starts to feel something primal, the balance of danger and safety, the exact polarity that ignites desire at its core. A Machiavellian strategist would say, "A wise ruler uses both fear and love, never in excess, but always in rhythm." You must become that rhythm, a man who can lead her through emotional chaos without being consumed by it. So here's the truth. Stability without polarity kills desire, but unpredictability without grounding kills trust. Your power is born in the middle, controlled chaos. You become her calm in the storm, and sometimes the storm itself. Because once she realizes you can pull her out of her comfort zone and make her feel safe there, she stops trying to resist you. She starts to follow your lead, willingly, helplessly, instinctively. And when that happens, the rules she built to protect her heart start dissolving on their own. Here's the third secret to know and take advantage of. You never truly break a woman's boundaries. You make her cross them herself. When Machiavelli spoke of power, he never mentioned brute force. He spoke of persuasion through inversion. He said, "The wise ruler achieves submission by letting others believe they act of their own will." And that's exactly how desire works. Every woman builds walls, moral ones, emotional ones, even physical ones. She tells herself what kind of man she will never fall for, what kind of touch she will never allow, what kind of story she refuses to live again. But here's the paradox. The more she repeats those lines, the more she's reinforcing the image of the man who could make her forget them. So your job is not to attack those rules head-on, it's to reverse the direction of pursuit. You don't chase her resistance, you let her chase her own surrender. Picture this. She says, "I don't usually open up this fast." You smile, slow, calm, and say, "Then don't. Keep your secrets. I like mystery." And then you change the subject. Now she's thinking about what she didn't tell you, and why she suddenly wants to. Or imagine she warns you early on, "I'm not looking for anything serious." The average man debates, convinces, or promises more. The Machiavellian man just nods. Good. Neither am I. I don't want to ruin the fun by labeling it. The instant you remove pressure, her subconscious flips. The rule she created to protect herself begins to suffocate her, and curiosity starts to breathe in its place. Because what she truly wanted was not protection, it was freedom. Freedom to feel something rare, something real, without guilt. You don't offer that freedom by asking for it. You offer it by mirroring her boundaries back to her until she starts to test them herself. That's the law of subtle reversal. You transform resistance into invitation. She says she doesn't want to fall for anyone. You tell her she's too strong for that anyway. She says she's not into games. You say, "Perfect. I don't play. I only enjoy watching others try." And with every response, you plant the same seed. You're different. Not because you say so, but because you act like you don't need to prove it. Machiavelli would have told you, men are driven by necessity. Make them believe it is their choice, and they will walk willingly into your plan. It's the same with women. The moment she feels she's in control, you already are. She'll think she's opening up because she wants to. She'll think she's crossing lines because it feels right. But every step she takes toward you is one you designed in silence. And when she finally realizes she's no longer guarding her walls but guiding you through them, it's already too late. Her rules have turned against her. Here's the fourth secret to know and take advantage of. You don't need to corrupt a woman. You just help her give herself permission to feel what she already wants. Machiavelli would have said, "It is not by violence that you rule hearts, but by disguising desire as destiny." He understood the oldest truth in human nature. People resist what looks sinful, but surrender to what sounds noble. Most men fail because they fight her morality directly. They make her feel like she's betraying herself just to be with them. That triggers guilt, and guilt kills attraction faster than rejection ever could. But the Machiavellian man does the opposite. He wraps temptation in moral language until what she wants starts to look like what she should want. You're not teaching her rebellion. You're guiding her to acceptance of her own feminine nature. Imagine this. She tells you, "I don't usually move fast," or "I don't like being vulnerable." The unwise man pressures. The Machiavellian smiles softly and says, "That's exactly what makes it rare." You don't owe anyone speed or control. You follow what feels right when it feels right. In one sentence, you've reframed desire as self-respect. Her guard doesn't drop because you pushed. It melts because you validated her inner conflict. Or maybe she insists, "I'm not the type of woman who loses control." You tilt your head and reply, "Control is strength, but even strength needs rest sometimes." Now her mind twists the concept. What used to feel like weakness becomes balance. You didn't make her betray her values. You gave her a way to fulfill them differently. That's moral camouflage, wrapping her desires in the very values she believes protect her. And you must understand, this isn't evil manipulation. It's alignment. Every woman has two sides: the public self that seeks virtue, and the private self that craves intensity. Society taught her to be ashamed of the second. Your job isn't to shame her further. Your job is to remove her shame completely. You make her feel like her impulses are not dangerous, but natural. Like her passion isn't something she hides, but something she owns. This is the paradox that gives you power. The more you frame her surrender as self-expression, the more she feels empowered, even when she's giving in to you. And the deeper truth? Women don't fall for the man who makes them feel wild. They fall for the man who makes them feel safe being wild. Machiavelli would remind you, appear virtuous even when your actions are bold. Because in love, just like in politics, the purest seduction is hidden behind good intentions. You are not taking her off her path. You're helping her accept the one she was already walking toward. And once she feels that freedom, she'll crave it again. With you. Only you. But there's another power that magnifies all of this. One that requires no pressure, no words, and no demand. It's the art of distance. Here's the fifth secret to know and take advantage of. The less you try to control her, the more she bends toward you. Machiavelli would have said, "Power unseen is power doubled." And in attraction, this means one thing. Your distance has more influence than your presence. Most men believe that dominance is loud, that control comes from constant pursuit, endless texts, constant availability. But that kind of closeness kills polarity. When you are always there, you stop being desired. You become predictable. What truly draws a woman is not the man who fills her world, but the man who leaves just enough empty space for her to fill with her own imagination. Distance is not neglect, it's design. Imagine this. After a deep moment together, a night of intensity, laughter, or even vulnerability, you don't flood her with attention the next day. You disappear into your mission, your work, your world. You're not cold, you're focused. And in that space, something begins to happen. Her mind starts replaying everything. The silence becomes louder than any message you could have sent. She starts wondering what you're doing, who you're with, if you've already moved on. But beneath that curiosity hides something deeper: respect. Because she can feel that your life doesn't orbit around her. You are not dependent. You are sovereign. Machiavelli would call this strategic absence, the art of creating power through restraint. When you hold back your attention, you raise its value. When you choose silence over chasing, your presence becomes sacred. Think of it this way. A throne loses its mystery if anyone can sit on it. Your attention must feel like that throne, earned, never guaranteed. Here's where most men fail. They think absence means punishment, ignoring, ghosting, manipulation. That's weakness. That's desperation in disguise. True distance comes from strength, from having a world so rich that she has to earn her place in it. When she texts you after hours of silence, you don't rush. You reply calmly, lightly, as if nothing's changed. Because to you, nothing has. You didn't step away to test her. You stepped away to stay centered in your empire. And that's what shifts everything. Your independence is the drug she can't quit. The more she feels it, the more she leans toward you, seeking the warmth of your focus. You've reversed the dynamic completely. The chaser becomes the chooser. This is why distance is not absence, it's gravity. Your silence pulls her in because she can't define it. She begins to crave the very space you've created. Machiavelli once said, "Men more quickly forget the death of their father than the loss of their patrimony." In love, it's the same. She can forget your words, but she'll never forget your withdrawal. Because absence is what tests her attachment, and the man who can disappear without fear becomes the one she can't let go of. So remember this. You don't demand respect. You inspire it through scarcity. You don't chase validation. You make her offer it freely, just to earn your attention again. Here's the sixth secret to know and take advantage of. The real seduction doesn't happen when you're with her. It happens when you're gone, and she still hears you in her mind. Machiavelli would have whispered, "The ruler who occupies the heart needs no army." He meant that once your presence lingers in someone's emotions, your influence continues long after you've left the room. This is where most men fail. They focus on attraction in the moment. The Machiavellian man builds attraction that survives absence. How? By engineering emotional echoes. These are feelings that resurface without your effort. Moments so vivid, words so specific, energy so distinct that they replay in her mind like an unfinished song. You don't build these echoes by being dramatic or over the top. You build them by creating small, piercing contrasts that hit deeper than surface pleasure. For example, instead of saying, "You're beautiful," you look at her and say quietly, "It's strange. You remind me of peace and danger at the same time." Now her mind has a paradox to solve, and you're the riddle. Or when you part ways, don't just say, "I'll see you soon." Say, "Don't overthink me tonight." She'll laugh. But later, when she's alone, that single line will crawl back into her thoughts. That's the echo. That's presence without presence. These are not tricks. They're imprints. Moments that blend emotional depth with subtle tension. Moments that feel alive. Because here's the truth Machiavelli would have recognized. What people remember most is not what you gave them, but what you made them feel about themselves. If she feels desired, she may forget you. If she feels seen, she will never erase you. So study the art of planting echoes. Leave traces in her emotional landscape. A tone, a glance, a challenge, a sentence that can't be answered. Each one becomes a ghost of you that lives inside her mind. When she's at work, something reminds her of your words. When she laughs with others, she wonders if you'd find it funny. When she's silent, she feels your energy in the quiet. You've become part of her internal dialogue, and that's where true control begins. You don't have to dominate her time, her space, or her schedule. You occupy something far greater, her attention. Machiavelli would smile here and say, "Influence that is remembered is stronger than power that is seen." And that's the final layer of this game. Not conquest, but memory. Here's the seventh and final secret to know and take advantage of. The most powerful seduction isn't when you win, it's when she believes she chose you on her own. Machiavelli would have smiled and said, "The greatest victory is the one your enemy never sees as defeat." And in the world of desire, that victory comes when a woman gives herself to you willingly, not because you pushed, but because she convinced herself it was her idea all along. That's the highest art of power, invisible influence. You see, when most men try to make a woman fall for them, they use pressure, compliments, promises, grand gestures. But every time you push, her defenses rise. Every time you try to convince, you look like you need permission. The Machiavellian man flips that completely. He creates a path so smooth, so natural, that she doesn't even realize she's walking it, until she's already arrived. You don't tell her what to feel. You let her discover what she feels around you. You don't say, "I want you." You say, "I like this energy we have. It feels rare." You're not declaring possession. You're inviting curiosity. That single shift removes resistance because you're not invading her freedom. You're expanding it. Machiavelli understood that people will fight any command, but they'll obey any emotion they believe they created. That's the paradox of control. The more you let her feel autonomous, the more she binds herself to you. Here's how it works in practice. You never rush closeness. You create moments of decision. When she shares a secret, you say, "You didn't have to tell me that." And she'll answer, "I wanted to." When she cancels plans, you don't guilt trip. You say, "I like when you do what feels right to you." And later, she'll chase your approval by keeping her word next time. Every move reinforces the same invisible message. She's choosing this. Not being led, not being trapped, choosing. And when a woman believes she's choosing, she invests. She justifies, defends, and deepens her attachment, because her pride won't let her feel like she's been manipulated. That's the final trick of the strategist, to make influence look like freedom. By this stage, you've already used silence, distance, and emotional echoes. You've made her reveal herself without pressure, question her rules without guilt, and step closer without realizing she moved first. Now all you do is step back and let her take the final step herself. Because the man who truly understands Machiavelli knows this. Power is not in pursuit, it's in permission. You earn it not by forcing her to yield, but by making her want to. When you understand how to make a woman break her own rules, you stop chasing approval and start mastering perception. You learn that influence isn't loud, it's silent. It's the art of guiding emotion without ever forcing it. Because the truth is, power doesn't come from what you take. It comes from what you make others give willingly. And when you can do that, not just with women, but in every part of life, you become untouchable. Remember this: you don't need permission to lead, to attract, to win. You just need to understand the game deeper than anyone else. And the moment you do, you stop reacting to the world. You start designing it. If this opened your eyes and you're serious about becoming the man who's in full control of his life. My book is now available. The Undeniable Man. Built to be Chosen. It's a strategic guide for men who want to attract, lead, and dominate in their love life and beyond. Whether you're single or in a relationship, no fluff, no tricks, just pure, powerful strategy that will set you apart from 99% of men, and that you will actually use every day. The link is in the description. And if this video spoke to you, don't just keep your thoughts in your head. Write a comment, even just a few words. It helps you remember these lessons, and it might help someone else too. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this content, and share it with someone who, in your eyes, needs it right now. Just trust your instinct. We're all trying to get clearer, more solid inside. So let's build minds that don't break.